though a comically large drive mode selector right here. Since we have all-wheel drive, we have off-road, snow and ice, and normal. Front-wheel drives just get normal and snow and ice. This is just laughably big for only having 3 drive modes. I just cannot figure out why it is so large. Hey Gearheads, and welcome to Garage Talk. I'm Corey, and this is the second best-selling Chevrolet in their lineup. This is the all-new 2025 Chevy Equinox. What I have here is the RS all-wheel drive trim, and I have been living with this one for a week. It is a very important vehicle for the brand, and one that is targeted directly at me, a young father with a kid that I am always carting around. And it's a vehicle I've actually owned before. I had a second-gen 2011 Equinox. What all has changed since then? And since the third generation ended production for the 2024 model year? And how does this stack up against the ever-growing competitive set, which includes Toyota RAV4, Honda CR-V, and the updated 2025 Hyundai Tucson? Stay tuned to find out. Before we get started with this one, I do want to thank Chevrolet for bringing this one to me to live with in my daily life for a full week's worth of testing. It has really allowed me to channel myself back from 2011 when I owned one of these, and there has been a lot of improvement ever since then. Back then, mine too was a 4-cylinder powered vehicle, but over the years, Chevrolet has offered multiple different engine powertrain options underneath the hood, including a V6 and even a diesel powered option. Unfortunately, or fortunately, for 2025, Chevrolet has simplified the engine choices down to one, and that is this one, the turbocharged 1.5 liter Ecotec 4-cylinder. And there are 2 variants of it based on whether you get front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. This being the all-wheel drive version is the torquiest. Power numbers come in at 175 horsepower and 203 pound-feet of torque, mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission, thanks to the fact that this is the all-wheel drive version. Front-wheel drives get a continuously variable transmission and 184 pound-feet of torque. This is definitely the one to get, and we'll talk more about how that engine transmission performs when we hop behind the wheel. I do wish Chevrolet would do away with the prop rod to hold the hood up, but other than that, it is a very nice vehicle to live with all the way around. I only have a few small complaints with this one, but on my list of complaints, definitely not the style. The look of this translates very well. It borrows heavily from its bigger siblings, Traverse, even Tahoe and Suburban, with a more masculine, squared off, boxy styling than anything that goes before it. It is the boxiest it's ever been since its first generation way back when. I really like the look of this. I think it actually wears the styling a little bit better than the bigger Traverse, if you ask me. You can see we get divorced headlights from the running lights and turn signals up top. And our particular model has the optional LED fog lamps, which are actually what are on right now, just below where the headlights are. Not much differentiation between the two. Our radiant red tint coat is an absolutely glorious color, and it translates and contrasts well against our RS's black grille, black bow tie, black wheels, and even black roof. I really like the way this one looks. I would spec one out just like this. I think this radiant red tint coat does rival Mazda's Soul Red Crystal, though go to our social media where you can see we're actually testing a Soul Red Crystal Mazda simultaneously with this. You'll see exactly what I mean. Both are very good and very appealing red paints, if you like red paint. As we pull around to the side, the RS model gets these carbon flash metallic painted and machine-faced wheels. They are 19-inch wheels wrapped in Continental Pro Contact tires. You can see the measurement is 235/55 R19s, and we'll talk more about how Those work along with the all-wheel drive system when we get inside. When we pull around to the side, you can see we have a black contrasting roof to the very beautiful red paint. The more I look at this red, the more I like it. It just really stands out and pops. The interesting part about the roof though is it is that carbon flash metallic, so it's actually a metallic black, not a gloss black, which does contrast a little against the gloss black mirror caps that we get on the RS. Other black accents are the Equinox badge there on the door that is appropriately placed, unlike the Chevy Colorado pickup, where it is laughably too high. As we move back behind the rear doors, much like the Traverse and many other vehicles in the crossover lineup at Chevrolet, we get this shark fin-like separator that doesn't go all the way to the roof. We do have this glass that gives us this floating roof. The other color option that you can get besides a body colored roof is on the active trim, you can actually get a white roof. So Chevy's experimenting and having a little fun with color along the way. As we pull around to the back of the vehicle, you can see we've got all LED lights back here in the back as well. The turn signals, brake lights, reverse lights, everything is LED back here and lights up very nicely back in the back. You can see we get that black bow tie, black Equinox all-wheel drive badge, black painted lower bumper in this, no physical exhaust that's hidden back behind the bumper, but I've got no real big complaint with that. Even though this is the RS trim, it really isn't all that much more sporty, though anecdotally speaking, I have shown a few friends pictures of this vehicle and they ask me if it's fast. I think this radiant red tint coat helps to contribute to that. One other feature I like about the back of the vehicle that has perhaps been borrowed from Hyundai but perfected in just a little bit is how you get into the rear hatch of this if your hands are full. No longer do you have to kick or dance or find that kick to open feature underneath the rear bumper. You simply keep the proximity key on your person and come stand at the back corner of the vehicle. It'll beep a few times at you to let you know, hey, the hatch is about to open, and then it does just that. No need to dance, no need to gyrate. You simply have the key and come walking up back here, get a few beeps, and then the cargo compartment is open for you. And Chevy has done a pretty good job of giving you very usable space back here. We have 29.8 cubic feet behind the rear seats, which is actually more than what you get behind the third row in the Chevy Tahoe, which is very impressive. You can fold the 60/40 split bench second row seat down and open up 63.5 cubic feet of space. So this is a very roomy vehicle, and they have done even more than just that, because not only do we have all this space right here, you can pull up on this tab and look, we have some more storage that goes all the way back underneath here, and it just gives you some hidden storage down low. Even more above that, you can remove this, and that is where your temporary spare tire is. So if you ever need that, yes, you're going to be unloading a bunch of stuff, but otherwise you can put a lot of cargo back here in the back of this vehicle. I did also mention the 60/40 split bench second row seat. Unfortunately, Chevy does not give you any way to fold those seats down from the sides here. You can either lean in and push this lever right here, push it forward, or you can go stand at the side of the vehicle and pull that forward. So it would be nice to have a remote release somewhere back here, even if it is a completely mechanical unit like we see on most competitors. The Mazda CX-5 and CX-50, even the Hyundai version of their Tucson gives you rear latch back here in the back to fold those seats forward. And I also don't love, but it would work just fine, that the 60% is on the passenger side. That's where we keep Tucker's child safety seat. So that only leaves us with the 40% that can fold forward, while Tucker's seat is back there. Small complaints, I know, but I don't really have a long list of complaints with this vehicle. It works very nicely. This does have a power programmable hatch. This is its widest opening. You can program just how wide it opens through the infotainment screen, but it fits in our 1963 built garage just fine, and it closes with the push of a button right there on the rear hatch, brings it to a nice soft close. Since we were talking about the key, and before we hop in, I did want to show you the key. Typical Chevrolet key that is on most of their premium products. We even get the black bow tie because we have the RS, but you have all the necessary buttons here on the backside: lock, unlock, remote start, hatch release, and panic button. You can also deploy a physical key. Just like with the hatch, you can just keep it in your pocket, your purse, because it is a proximity key. I really like some of the features about it that the Chevy lawyers have not gotten in the way. Whereas on Hyundai and Kia products, to get that rear hatch to work, like I just showed you, the vehicle has to be off and locked, and you like have to leave it and come back to it. Here it works even with the vehicle running. And unfortunately, we do not have a passive entry system, but we do have, again, a proximity key. You just push this button right here to lock or unlock the vehicle. That one push locks it, another push unlocks it, one more push unlocks all the doors, and all of that is programmable on the inside. When you do get inside though, I really like the interior. It really levels this up against all of its competition. I do believe this is the best interior in the segment, GMC notwithstanding. I'm still waiting to get some time inside that new Terrain, but I really like the material here on the door. I'll go ahead and show you there is a texture and a pattern. It does kind of look like a checkered flag from a distance. It gives it a nice, cool, racy look. We even get contrasting stitching here. Our particular model does have two-person memory seat for the driver. We get power window controls, but unfortunately only the driver's is expressed up-down. All these are expressed down, but not back up. I don't quite get that, especially from the driver's seat, because I still need to put the other windows up too. Don't really get that. Maybe they let the lawyers get the best of them there and say it's a safety concern. Down here we have our hatch release button, but again, you can program how wide it opens from the screen. A little bit of storage in the door, a little bit of storage right here. And then our seat controls. You can see we get a multi-way positional seat with two-way lumbar. These seats are actually very nice. I really like these seats. They are Evotex, so they aren't leather, but they are very nice, very soft. They would fool you against a more basic leather. They're very convincing. We get RS embossed in the headrest, contrasting stitching all the way around, some cloth accents that look really good. Just overall, really like the attention to detail with these seats, and they are very comfortable. They are also heated and ventilated up front and heated in the rear. Hopping in and closing the door, you can see we do have a lot of screen real estate here in front of me. I'll go ahead and put my foot on the brake, start it up. We have an 11-inch driver information screen here, an 11.3-inch infotainment screen over here. This is being used in a lot of Chevrolet products lately, from the Trax all the way up to the new 25 Tahoe and Suburban. So very familiar info or driver information screen here. We'll go ahead and start over my left knee, electronic parking brake, electronic park hold, engine start stop in traffic, and then my least favorite feature about the all-wheel drive in this vehicle is the fact that it's driver selectable. So if there is wheel slippage from those Continental CrossContact tires and you are in two-wheel drive, as I am right now, the vehicle will say, hey, maybe you push this button instead of automatically doing it itself. Not quite sure why Chevy elected to do that. Could be fuel economy, could be a lot of things, maybe even cost. I'm not sure. I just wish that the vehicle did it itself. It knows there's wheel slippage. It should take care of it itself. Otherwise, this steering wheel, very sporty. It's a thick rimmed steering wheel, and it does make you feel like you are in a much more sporty car than you actually are. All your typical information and controls are on here. We do have volume and tuning on the back of the steering wheel. We also have little pedals here if I wanted to manually select what gear I'm in with that 8-speed automatic. Lots of controls, heated steering wheel. This button right here actually goes through multiple different displays on the screen back here. So this is a Google map. This right here is Apple Maps, because I do have wireless Apple CarPlay connected. Push it again, we get all of our driver assistance stuff right here. Then we get a very simplistic view, which comes in handy because this vehicle does not have head-up display, but makes it very easy to look down at a glance. And then we've got a slightly more informative view with everything from our fuel economy. This is a little misleading because I have been sitting with it idling a little bit today. It is a little on the lower side versus what you would probably see just living with this vehicle outright. All your adaptive cruise control buttons are over here, and again, some of your music and information buttons right here. The screen isn't the freeform 17.7 inch that we see in the Traverse, Tahoe, Suburban, but it is still a very large 11.3 with plenty of information on it. It is quick and snappy to use and has a lot of features built into it. I already mentioned wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Really like that, and I like how you can reposition and even put these icons here on the side, so we have quick access to something like the 360 cameras that are on our model. I really like all the different camera views on this, including what I call, because of my garage door situation, don't hit either side of the garage cameras. You can see the front and the back wheels very nicely right here. You can even turn off the bird's eye view to give you a better use of all that screen real estate. Really, really like the cameras in this, and they stay on no matter how fast you're going. Again, they don't really let the lawyers make the decisions here. We do have virtual climate controls for our dual zone climate. We also have physical controls that are borrowed from the Colorado. They're glossy black and show fingerprints, but other than that, they're pretty straightforward. And once you know where everything is, it's pretty easy to use as well. I really like the heated and ventilated seats. Use the outside temperature and your preset temperature to know what to do. I didn't turn it on, it knew I wanted my seat on. I like that a lot. Moving down from there, we get a little bit of rubberized storage down here for microphones, your I voted sticker, whatever the case may be, as well as a USB-A and a USB-C port that does interface with the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto if you need it. But I like just some quick access storage right there. Right here, we have a very interesting Qi wireless charger. I like how it is not obtrusive in how much space it takes up. You simply drop it in like that, and it has worked fairly well for me, not overheating my phone, which I really like. You simply drop it in, forget about it. This has all freed up by the fact that they've moved the gear selector to the steering column and has opened up some storage underneath here that does come all the way back to here. So lots of storage underneath there that I like. Though a comically large drive mode selector right here. Since we have all-wheel drive, we have off-road, snow and ice, and normal. Front-wheel drives just get normal and snow and ice. This is just laughably big for only having 3 drive modes. I just cannot figure out why it is so large. If you do put it in any drive mode other than normal, it will put you in all-wheel drive. Though you can, again, hit the all-wheel drive button to get all-wheel drive whenever you want it. But otherwise, we get a couple of cup holders with rubber grippers that work very well for my Chevrolet mug. I like that. More of that textured material with contrasting stitching. A very deep, narrow, oddly shaped center console, though we do have this little removable shelf right here. Very odd use of space and just how long, narrow, and deep it is. Will say, again, I did own a 2011 second generation. That was a problem or an issue with that one as well. But we do get a little bit more storage up here in the glove box. It is damped, but not lined with felt. We'll get more storage in the doors. So there's plenty of storage here. I'd like the repeat use of that material up here in the dash. I like the design of the outboard HVAC vents up front here. They look like turbines, are really cool. And then this red to black fade that we get on the RS trim, that is really cool as well. Another feature I really like that is in our particular tester is a rear view camera mirror. That is a very nice touch. Unfortunately, we do not get that head-up display I referenced earlier. Really could have used that. We do get some sunglasses storage right here, and then all our controls for our very large panoramic glass roof. It is a 2-pane glass roof. You can see the cover stops at the exchange in glass back there, but you can push it again and open it all the way. Really opens it up in here. It makes it light and airy. I like that a whole lot. Now let's pop into the back and see what the back seat is like, because there is a lot that I really like back here as well, including a repeat use of all the materials from up front without the gloss black here. So I like that. And then these seats, they still get the red and blue contrasting stitching, though no RS embossed on the headrest. Still get all the cloth. Really like that. These are very comfortable as well. And then a feature I really like that you don't really see in all-wheel drive vehicles because there needs to be a mechanical connection from the engine to the rear wheels, a very flat load floor. So you could, in theory, put 5 people in this vehicle very comfortably, though that middle seat is a little on the narrow side. As I climb in, I've got plenty of room behind myself myself at 5'10". Plenty of headroom back here, even with that panoramic roof, but lots of space in here. And again, I really like the flat floor without the bump. Heated outboard seats right here, 2 air vents right here that do a good job, though I really prefer ceiling mounted units, especially with a kid riding back here. And then way down low, 2 USB-C ports. Interestingly enough, I believe if you don't get the heated seats, the USB ports are up here. So you're gonna need a longer cord for anybody riding back here wanting to use those USB-C ports. Back here we do have a fold down center armrest that doesn't flop all the way to the seat bottom. Makes it very comfortable for actual human beings to use, not have to lean over all the way. I like that. Rubber grippers in here too for your drinks. And then the seat back unfortunately does not recline, but doesn't really need to. I am very comfortable back here. I could easily ride across the entire state of Texas. It is a very comfortable back seat. 4 adults could fit in here, no problem. Very roomy, very spacious. I like it a lot. Now let's hop behind the steering wheel and see how this thing drives. Putting it in drive, very easy to do. And setting off, one of the first complaints I already feel are coming from all the keyboard warriors out there are the low power numbers. On paper, yes, even myself, I kind of roll my eyes at sub 200 horsepower and barely 200 pound-feet of torque in my all-wheel drive model, but I can tell you in reality, actually getting in this vehicle and driving it around, yes, it's low, but it's not a problem. It is not painfully slow. It's not a race car. Perhaps it doesn't quite live up to its RS branding, but it's not slow. And I can say that even having loaded this vehicle up with 5 people, yes, 5 people, granted one of them was my 6-year-old son, but 5 people fit in here just nicely. But I will say we're at like 500 feet of elevation. I don't know how this forced induction 4-cylinder would do at higher elevation, how anemic that would get. But I can tell you here, for its commuter job in Tyler, Texas, it does fairly well without much complaint. I mean, I've got no problem with it. The 8-speed automatic transmission also works very well. You hardly notice it going about its business. It never really is hunting for gears, though there have been a few instances when I'm like trying to zip in certain places that maybe I'm like, oh, you could have reacted a little bit quicker. But honestly, for the most part, for the target consumer of this, it is a perfectly fine powertrain. My only gripe with the powertrain is the fact that when there's wheel slippage, it tells you to do something. It doesn't do it itself. That's just odd to me. It knows there's a problem. It knows there's a fix to that problem. That fix is electronic. It seems as though that would be a software fix. So I'm not quite sure, Chevy, what you're doing there. It seems like a weird omission. Just my thought. Otherwise, this drives around very nice. The ride quality in this is very good. It has been very compliant, very comfortable. I've got no real complaints. The visibility out of this one is good. Everything about this has worked out quite well for me. It's very easy to get to my son in my back seat. There's just a lot I really like. There are some weird things though that I've noticed the Chevy has moved away from, whatever the case may be. My 2011 2nd gen did have a sliding bench seat back here. This seat doesn't move. That's a slight miss for me, but not a deal breaker by any means. I really wish this had a head-up display, but again, not a deal breaker by any means. For the most part, this has been everything I've wanted it to be driving it around town. In fact, even the price of this vehicle is nothing to complain about by 2024 standards. And yes, that comes with a big caveat, but I will say, my wife and I just sold our 2014 Jeep Cherokee that had a window sticker when it was brand new a decade ago, $42,000 MSRP, and it did not have ventilated seats. It didn't have Apple CarPlay. It did not have all the cameras that this had. It doesn't have a lot of the luxuries that this vehicle has. and it costs quite a bit more. So inflation, not even an issue in this conversation. This is quite a value for what you get, whether it be in 2014 or here at the end of 2024. This is a very good value, and I think it's going to work very well for a lot of families. Chevy has really made a compelling argument for itself in a class that is very, very competitive. You've got these segment sales leaders of Honda CR-V and Toyota RAV4, and then you've got some very well-intentioned at taking over the top-selling Crown vehicles from Hyundai and Kia in their Sportage, and the Tucson from Hyundai. And then you've got like every other car brand introducing a new vehicle. This is the class in which you need to be competing. There is just a lot of competition in this segment, and Chevy aims to increase their share of the segment with this vehicle, and I think they are doing a very good job of it. Really, honestly, my only complaints about this 2025 Equinox are the all-wheel drive system and setup, the okay power. Yes, I would prefer more, but it is not a deal breaker. I think if they dropped that 2.5 liter turbo from the Traverse, they'd have a sporty monster on their hands befitting all this RS badging. And the fact that our particular tester, which again has lived, and these vehicles do live a tough life, our particular tester has a little bit of a rattle here around the sunroof. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but I can get rid of it by giving it a nice push on the headrest there, at least for a little bit. Otherwise, the ride is good, visibility is good, the options are good, the price is good. Everything is really good and compelling about this Equinox, and makes a strong case for you stopping at your local Chevy dealership if you are in the market for a compact crossover. I know that I am strongly considering naming this my favorite compact, though I do need a humpback behind the wheel of a 25 Tucson to see if that one's my favorite or this one. It is a very close toss-up between the two. And, well, you can see more of my thoughts on this segment and all others by hitting that subscribe button down below and ringing the bell so that you are notified when future videos drop from us. Find us on all social media channels: Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, Threads, YouTube, you name it. Everything is at GT Garage Talk, or you can go to gtgaragetalk.com, where you'll find links to all that we do, including our award-winning podcast. But as for me, in a modern version of a vehicle that I've owned before in my life, with this 2025 Chevrolet Equinox RS all-wheel drive, until next time, gearheads, bye.